Alright. I'm reacting again. I know it's not been a very long time since I've reacted, but I'm reacting to Sylvana's husband. They gave me permission to react to them and make fun of them. Of course, this is an opinion. This is their opinion. They made that one clear this time. Give them support. All credit goes to them. Turn off your music and let's watch the video.
Abilities are the fundamentals of battle cats. They determine if a cat will be good or bad. And today
really,
we're going to
but
rank them all from worst to best.
I don't think abilities are what really makes a unit good or bad. It's more so stats. Because like Can, right? Double bounty on Can. Really good, right? But the ability isn't what makes Can good. Because like Thief Cat also has double bounty. And he still suffers. So
Also, I will not rank abilities you can only get from talents, and also not
thank
single
God.
or area attack, and this is a subjective
Okay,
tier
is it really so hard to just add single to F and area to A or something? Is it that hard?
list, so your opinion will not be the same as mine. So if you disagree with any of these, then comment down below and I'll make sure to ban you. The worst
No, I'm
ability at
banning.
number 47 is Base Destroyer. You probably forgot.
Why is this all the way at the bottom? Why is Base Destroyer probably one of the best cheese strats in the game all the way at the bottom? Well, no, you know what it is? It's because it's only good on Warlock and Pierre. He's not including like on Ubers, right? So like it's the stats on Warlock and Pierre that makes them so good with Base Destroyer. So I actually see this. I understand it.
About it, and it seems like Ponos did as well, because there is only one cat that has it, even though
It's niche but not bad. Here's the thing though. We haven't seen it on something spammable. So we don't actually know from experience, right? But if something was like if something was just given Base Destroyer, right? Would it be good or bad? I feel like it would kind of not do anything. Worst ability is target only IMO. You're so right, actually. But like, are we considering balancing factors? If we're considering balancing factors, then I actually don't believe so. Because target only can lead to some of the best specialists in the game. Doesn't camels have them? True, but that's not really that much of a threat. Like, you don't like that's not really something you think about, really. That's enemy. It's still an ability.
it came out years ago. It doesn't necessarily drag you down, but 99% of the time it's insignificant. Next up we have... It doesn't have an official name, but everyone calls it kamikaze, so we'll go with that.
Okay, wait. How is kamikaze? How is kamikaze not worse than base destroyer? But it's so bummer that unit can't clear peons with target only. Yeah. Depending on what are we deciding on, no. What do you mean? If something is hitting your base and you can't get rid of it, you're cooked anyway? Yeah. I'm a little confused. Because I don't know the methodology. I don't know if we're including like balancing factors and stuff. But wouldn't you say that Boulder would be better without Kamikaze? Kamikaze is not exactly a good thing for Boulder. So like I feel like
I'm
this
not
should be
gonna
the worst.
explain what all the abilities do, but the nerdy ones I will. So essentially what this ability does is after the cat has attacked, it dies. It is mostly used in cats where it doesn't really matter too much if the cat dies or not, and can even be beneficial sometimes.
Yeah, but you need to think about the ability without the stats, without the unit. You need to separate the ability from the unit, right?
And I think it can be helpful more often.
Helps you bait out some bosses without enabling their abilities. Yeah, but that only really does anything against Cappy. And that only does something if you're not meat shielding. How often are you not meat shielding? You know what I mean? Like Earl and Cappy are the only two I can think of currently. Cappy Jr. That you know that happens with. Like I No, Keva, it's not a unit type because what it is it's an ability that makes it so that attack frequency just basically doesn't exist. Or like it could still be in the game files, but it's not going to actually do anything. Is it because the ability is bad, or is it because this, and that, you know? Well, it's a ranking, right? So, like, I think that having Kamikaze above Base Destroyer is just wrong because Kamikaze is straight up bad, meanwhile, Base Destroyer just kinda doesn't do anything. So, like, I don't see it, because, like, you gotta look at them as base value. You can't just be like, "Oh, you know, Boulder and Macho Glass are, like, really good, so clearly Kamikaze is not necessarily bad." Even though, like, are we considering balancing factors, right? I don't know. I don't know what the methodology
than
is.
Base Destroyer. Moving on to attacks only,
Wait, what did he say?
cat dice or not, and can even be beneficial sometimes. And I think it can be helpful more often than Base Destroyer.
How the fuck? How the fuck is Kamikaze helpful? Are we talking about potential? Because Metal Trait would be OP. Well, we're probably gonna get to that. But how the hell is your unit dying more helpful than just basically speeding up base destroying? Because base destroying quickly can actually help in stages where you have to rush down the base so that nothing spawns. So that can actually be really helpful in rush strats. So, like, are we talking about the units or are we talking about the ability here? I'm getting mixed signals.
Moving on to attacks only, and this one is a bit weird because if a cat has this ability, it will generally have more DPS and better stats due to the fact that it has this ability.
Yeah, but if you're not talking about the stats, which I believe is what your description says, right? Each ability is ranked separately and Uber, super rare, or legendary usually have more than one ability, and that's why Uber. Wait, no. Yeah, ranked separately. Each ability is ranked separately because Uber, super rare, legendary usually have more. Da 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 da. Kind of makes it sound like you're trying to separate it from the unit, but eh. I don't know.
But in this list I will not include that because it's technically not a requirement, it's just that they generally do have more.
So if you're talking about the ability on its own without balancing factors and stuff, then Kamikaze should absolutely be the worst. Because it straight up kills your unit. And then obviously this one is also
DPS.
deservingly bad.
Besides all that, you can actually use this disadvantage to your advantage, because you will
To
be able to
stack.
stack a bunch of these cats incredibly easy on certain stages, but in most cases it's not very good.
Stacking, yeah, like I see what you mean.
Then we have multi-hit. I feel like this ability is meant to be good, and a lot of
Here's the thing about multi-hit is that I know we're trying to separate it from stats, but multi-hit's biggest disadvantage is the fact that it's often not given good damage, right? So it's kind of 50-50 on this, which is why I think it would be kind of in the middle. I think it should be around 20s because it's not necessarily bad. It's not, because you can think of it as splitting your damage, or you can think of it as giving your attack 3 hits or more than 1 hit, sorry. Which can actually be really nice, especially if there's LD on the second hit or like different effects on the second hit. Like there's a lot of different like, especially with multi-hit status, it's really good because you get to reapply that status, or you get to have more chances to apply that status. So multi-hit thanks to status alone, but that is assuming that there is status, right? Multi-hit on its own is kind of just indifferent because you still get the same amount of damage as if you didn't have multi-hit, right? So it's not necessarily bad. It's just kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of weird.
it is. It's not very helpful, but it's helpful. However, if a cat that focuses on DPS has this ability,
I don't know the other abilities off of memory, so obviously everything above it could be just better, but I don't remember.
it can actually make the cat worse. For example, if we
Wait, when do we get to immunities? When do we get to immunities? Because most of those are kind of like borderline useless, like curse, warp, weaken immunity. Like all of these are kind of borderline useless. So I'm curious as to where they place.
take Kung Fu Cat's second form that has multi-hit, his first attack deals less damage than his second attack, And a lot of the times the first attack knocks the enemy back, which makes the
Yeah, but that's not separating it from stats. So I'm assuming he's just not separating stats from the abilities. I'm assuming he's just meaning like generally this kind of unit that has this kind of, you know.
attack miss. So you would rather have the first form, which does not have multi-hits, so the strong attack actually hits. So on supports and crowd controllers, it's a bit helpful, and on damage dealers, it's quite bad. Extra money, it doesn't hurt.
Wait, what did he say?
On damage dealers, it's supports and crowd controllers, it's a bit helpful, and
I don't know about a bit, because if you give something multi-hit, right? And let's just assume multi-hit automatically means 3 multi-hits, since that is typically what it means, right? It can mean 2, it can mean 3, but mostly 3, right? If you have a 50% chance to status, right? That 50% chance with 3 multi-hits then becomes closer to like 70 or 80%, right? So like on status, it's not just a bit helpful because it also delays the length of the status. So what happens is the multi effectively not only gives you a higher chance for a status, but it also increases the time of the status effectively. Hey, Wobble.
on damage dealers, it's quite bad. Extra
It's not really that bad. It just depends.
money, it doesn't hurt you in any way, shape, or form, but it doesn't help too much either. Most cats with this ability are very bad, however,
I feel like without Double Bounty, Thief would just straight up have no usage. Meanwhile, his usage can actually be pretty nice, thanks to Double Bounty. So it's actually really good. Okay, here's the thing about Can Double Bounty. Can Double Bounty is really good because it can take advantage of things like Seal, Doge Darks, stuff like that. It can be really helpful if you have the stats to do it. If you look at Thief and compare them to Can, like this is why I wish he would. This is why I wish SylvanasHusband would specify if he's talking about splitting the ability away from any sort of stats, because I have no idea what he's talking about. I have no idea if he's specifically talking about like the kinds of stats that typically go along with it. I have no idea, right? I have no idea if he's talking about the units themselves. I wish he would specify, because if we're talking about abilities on their own, Double Bounty is way up there. Because having increased money can absolutely change the course of a stage, thanks to things like Doge Darks and Sir Metal, or not Sir Metal, just Sir Seals. You can absolutely get a lot of money from it.
some good cats, like Bullet Train Cat, that also has this ability. And when good cats have this ability, then it's just a bonus. Next up is Omni.
No. Double Bounty on Can is one of the best talents in the game because of the ability to completely change the course of a stage, just because you can more easily get a better start off and just get way more money than you're supposed to. And also, how the fuck is the Omni so low?
Which is similar in the sense of it doesn't hurt the cat to have this, but it also doesn't help the cat.
Okay, I'm assuming he's talking about like without much pierce, right? Like it's kind of like a zombie's Omni Strike where, or like an anti-zombie Omni Strike where it only goes to the negative rather than going forward piercing at all. However, that is assuming the stats, and so like you don't want to assume anything. You just want to be like, Omni gives the potential to give piercing further than your standing range. Therefore, you know, yeah, you get it.
Plus, I also think it practically only works on zombies, does it not? So what it does is that it gives the cat the ability to also damage enemies that are behind the cat.
Bro tuned himself
I think
out.
This ability is better for an enemy to have, because you know you can cheese through certain enemies, but it doesn't really work the other way around. By the way, I only rank the abilities from the cat's perspective and not the enemies.
Yeah, that's not the kind of specification I want.
To weaken, I think most people.
Okay, so we are putting immunities pretty low. But why is Omni below immunities? Or at least... Wait, where the fuck is immune to warp? Where the fuck is immune to warp? It literally does nothing. Wait. I'm so... It's literally bad to have immune to warp. Why is weaken the first immunity? Immune to knockback and immune to warp are either not doing anything or is actively bad. Immune to warp does nothing? It basically does nothing. Because, like, first of all, when do you get warped outside of Starry Lanes? And second of all, since when do you get warped and complain about it? Since, like, the only time you want immune to warp is on a meat shield. And that's realistically only in stages where you don't want a lot of meat shields. Because, like, even against the Super Cosmic Cyclone that spams warp, you really don't want warp because you can just spam meat shields that just continuously go to the front. They're not that bad. They're not that bad, but they're at least worse than immune to weaken. Immune to weaken gives you usage against Hanya, Calamari, and that's about it. But that's still not ever a bad thing. First of all, and second of all, actually good against relatively like difficult enemies. Same thing with like Lionels and stuff like that, right? Immune to weaken is actually helpful. Knockback immunity and warp immunity are either not doing anything for the most part, or they're hurting, or they're slightly helping occasionally, right? Why is weaken the bottom of the barrel?
That this is the worst of the immunities. You might put it higher, you might put it lower, I don't know, but I think you at least can agree that this is the worst immunity.
No. What? Yeah, winged piggy as well because of the Omni on the weekend. And then like I said, the Lionels and stuff, like. And then, like, with ZL now as well, we have so many more things that are annoying with their weaken, because they have LD weaken, so it's harder to avoid. How is weaken immunity the bottom?
Bet people could play this game a couple of hundred.
Lionel slows. I'm talking about not the angel one. Doesn't the alien one weaken? Am I wrong about that? I thought the alien Lionel. So Klein 1, I guess. Doesn't that one weaken? Chibinel I know weakens, but Klein 1, the alien Lionel, also weakens, I'm fairly certain.
Hours without being able to name a single enemy that weakens you? I don't know.
Brother, I just named like multiple.
In my opinion, this is not that helpful. Then we have the actual weaken ability, and after you're past the
Okay. Fun.
early game, enemies deal so much damage that they pretty much one-shot your cat.
Yeah, but if you weaken them by 50%, you can effectively double your unit's lifespans. I don't care how much damage the enemy is doing. If you can change the survivability of your meat shields from 1 hit to 2 hits, that is super valuable.
That's even if you weaken them. It's absolutely
And obviously it can do much more than that a lot of the time.
not useless. It can be helpful in some scenarios, but most of the time I
Bro probably thinks Dark Luna is B tier.
think you're not even gonna remember that weaken exists. Immunity to explosion. This one kinda suffers from the amount of enemies at the moment.
Well, this one, I mean, it's kind of too soon to really say, but immune to explosion would have helped a lot against Bunaglios, would have helped a lot against Nova, like, because remember, ID True Form helps a lot for Dr. Nova, and part of that is the fact that ID is immune to explosion.
Currently, there are like no enemies that even have this ability.
True Angel Tacky.
Or cats for that matter. This one is currently very bad, but I imagine that it can become quite helpful once they add more enemies with explosion, but this is where it lands for now. Next up is the Survive a Lethal Strike.
Okay, wait. How is this low? How? Because Survival Lethal Strike, assuming it's guaranteed, right? Because, like, most of the time it is guaranteed. Assuming, like, even if it's 50% chance, you still have that chance of getting a whole new reposition on something that could have the worst survivability in the world, but it could still reposition. Like, what?
Works good on certain cats like Jiangshi cats, Shishalan Paslan, Count.
How the fuck is it good on Shishalan Paslan? He has 99 knockbacks. What? Of all units to say it's good on, you're gonna say Shishalan is the one it's good on? No.
Kimura, etc., giving them another chance of attacking. On some cats, it's very pointless, and a lot of the times they die before they.
Okay, first of all, fucking meat shield your Kai. If you're going to say survival strike is useless, why are you using Kai alone on a Cyclone? Brother, meat shield. She outranges the Cyclone. What? That
They even get their second attack off. Overall, it's alright. Moving on to dodge, which is somewhat similar but works best on meat shields.
Honestly, dodge on paper is actually really good. I'm shocked it's this low. Because like dodge on paper, I feel like would be like top tier. Because you just get the chance to not take damage. So like so if you're separating it from stats and stuff, then that means you don't have to deal with the balancing factor of having low stats like Mirsha and Tetsukachi. Right? And like on meat shields, it's really good, like Brainwash Mohawk. So like why is it so low?
And tanks. When you're meat shielding, you usually put out a stream of meat shields, so dodge isn't that helpful because you will.
No. What? How? How is having multiple meat shields making dodge any worse? The more meat shields with dodge you have, the higher chance you are to be completely dodging. I don't get it.
Always have a meat shield in the front anyway. On tanks, however, it works very well, makes the tank more tanky. Then we have Soul Strike. This ability only works on zombies, and an ability.
I feel like Soul Strike is kind of useless, is it not? Like, hear me out. Soul Strike's bad in some cases because it just straight up stops a unit from progressing when you need it. Like, am I crazy for that?
That only works on one trait will not be as good as an ability that works on all enemies, unless it's an ability that is required to be that type of enemy, which Soul Strike is not. If you use Zombie Killer in the first place, you won't even need this ability, but it can be helpful sometimes, but very rarely.
I do want to say his argument for the only working against one trait and then lacking the brain cells to put warp immune yet is crazy.
Now we have some immunities. First off is
warp.
Immunity to slow.
How the fuck? How? How? How is warp immunity not here yet? Because here's the thing, right? If we're separating the ability from the unit, that means we're assuming that warp immunity isn't on an anti-alien. So if we're assuming that most of the time, if you were to just put warp immunity on any unit, it would very small percent of the time choose an anti-alien, especially one that would benefit from warp immunity. That means that warp immunity would actively be bad on literally anything that isn't anti-alien. How? And by the way, how the fuck is weaken worse than knockback? Huh?
Extremely helpful on some stages and completely pointless on 99% of stages.
But what about the red anteater? What about Professor A? On that one unit alone, like, dude, where's warp? Where's warp? Like, I don't have a problem with slow immunity being low because I genuinely don't value these immunities that much. But where the hell is warp immunity? Even knockback immunity can be relatively high because it can help against Mr. Moles. It can help you not get pushed back by trolley bloggers, Nimoy Boar. But, like, why is warp immunity not on here?
Freeze immunity, pretty similar.
Brother, where is warp? Oh yeah, Croakley. Where is warp? Where is warp?
Although I think there are more stages where you need this one. I'm not quite sure, but maybe these should swap places. Either way, they're very similar. And then immunity to knockback, and I think.
Where is warp? Even immunity to knockback is more helpful than immune to warp, because it can help on it. Like immune to knockback can unironically help on tanks because then they won't be movable. Meanwhile, immunity to warp is like that same thing for tanks, but worse because it only works against one subset of traits. And by the way, Notice how I said subsets. Warp is only effective on starred aliens, not even aliens as a whole. Only starred.
This one is the most important of these three. I recall thinking that I needed immunity to knockbacks at some point. For example, Cats of the Cosmos Chapter 2, right? Yeah, I think that's the stage where Kai is so strong due to the knockback immunity. So this is the first
She's strong
immunity
because of
where
her
I've
HP.
actually thought about using. Metal, it's good in stages where
Oh, okay.
there are
You know
a
what?
few enemies, or mostly enemies that has slow attacks. They're absolutely
I give up. I give up. Because remember, Metal Cat only has 20 HP. That's alright. I think it should be at least a little bit higher because remember, he only has 20 HP. Assuming that we're separating abilities from stats, if he had 100 HP, he would be top tier. His survivability would be, without a doubt, just broken. Like, assuming, like, separating abilities from the stats and the unit itself that it's on. Like, if metal was literally on any other unit, unless it's like an anti-metal meat shield or something, or like wait, no, anti-metal meat shield. Wait, that would be even better because like almost no enemy crits. Whatever.
There are stages where metal can be quite helpful, however, regular old meat shields does their job so well, so you rarely ever need.
There's no way he's only saying that metal would be good on meat shields. He's got to be like assuming the unit, right? He's got to be talking about the units, right? No, because in the description he says that there's other things that can make a unit good, so he tried to separate them. What? Thank you for the follow, Terra, but what?
Need metal. I guess it could be good at stalling wave attacks. Next up is Zombie Killer. I feel like some would disagree with this one. I just think
Nah, I don't disagree. Zombie Killer only works against one trait, and like, it's overall not that good, but it is necessary against certain zombies that can just completely just keep reviving and stuff. But I have no idea what you just said, Terra.
that, again, it's only against zombies, which drags it down.
Freeze to be top one?
Also,
I believe
you
it.
don't need it against zombies. It's by all means
You actually do against Zyklone and who else? Zamel. You actually do need Zombie Killer for those two, and mainly Zamel. So I do think it should Zombie Killer could go slightly higher, but I understand why it's low-ish.
helpful towards zombies, but in most cases,
Warp Immune has still not been placed, by the way.
you don't need Zombie Killer.
Old Stritch. Wait, no. Doesn't Old Stritch just not have any burrows? Or not burrows, things? Doesn't it just not turn into a corpse? Oh yeah, Coffin Zoj. Wait, ZNL. Is that right? That is right. Holy shit, there's a lot that actually has infinite recoveries. Old Stritch has infinite revives? Damn. I guess I used Anubis on that bitch. Huh.
I would definitely say that it's better than Soul Strike though. Then we actually have Metal
100%.
Killer. The same reasoning, but
I believe it.
this one helps with metal better.
I mean, I still think Zombie Killer is better because it's actually necessary against certain enemies, but
Zombie Killer does with zombies. Moving on to Strengthen, you can actually combine this with a cat combo and the damage will become ridiculous.
depends on the strengthen because if it's only 50% strengthen, then the combos help a lot more than they would if it's 100% or 150% strengthen. Just
If
saying.
you have an XL Strengthen Up combo, you can get 100%
You cannot get an XL strengthen combo. That's just not possible in the game as of right now.
plus damage, and that obviously
How is this only 29?
Stuff. Even without a combo, it's still pretty good, I would say. Savage Blows.
Pretty good. I mean, most strengthens are 100% strengthen, right? Like, on average, they're 100% strengthen. And the potential of having even higher than that is absolutely wild. Right? So, like, it can greatly boost a unit's thing, but, like, thanks to stats and stuff, like, I can get where that's coming from. Savage Blow, on the other hand, even if it is just a 10% Savage Blow, that's assuming it's 10%. If you're... Whatever. Like, whatever.
Somewhat similar, but the cat doesn't have to be low for it to deal a lot of damage. I would
How is warp
categorize this as
immunity
a
not
bonus
done yet?
ability. If a cat has this, then it's just a
No, it's not a bonus immunity. It is a highest, the best reason why Dahlia-san is so good because his potential damage per hit is so high thanks to Savage Blow.
bonus.
And you're actively using Narita Kaihime, and yet you can't notice that Savage Blow is absolutely changing the way her offensive works.
Then we have a bunch of immunities, so I'm just gonna go over them real quick. Warp immunity,
How the fuck is this all the way up here?
definitely more important than the previous immunities.
How?
Toxic immunity.
No explanation.
Toxic might not be as common, I'm not sure, but it's usually more dangerous.
I actually understand this one. Thanks to Oldstrich and Gobble, I can absolutely, and Zalo as well, I can absolutely understand this one being so high. But why the hell is warp immunity this high?
Thus making the immunity more valuable. Wave immunity. Waves
I
are
see it.
common and dangerous. Then finally, surge immunity. Surge attacks are
I feel like this one should be higher. Am I crazy for that? Surge is so threatening that having surge immunity is actually really valuable. Am I crazy for saying that? I guess warp immune just because of Cats of the Cosmos? Yeah, but that literally the only unit in Cats of the Cosmos that you benefit from using with warp immunity is Catalite.
very
Okay, here's the thing. Stop saying top 10 because there's a lot of abilities that can deserve top 10. Like Wave, Surge, Explosion, like the LD. Wait, why is LD so high up when Omni got put so low? Whatever. That's besides the point. Insane resist, insane damage, massive damage resist, strong against, like all these kinds of things. I understand what the top 10 will be on, like, kind of.
powerful in this game, so being
True, you can't block Surge.
immune to
True.
them are great.
Where the fuck is Counter Surge? Wait, thanks for reminding me. Where the fuck is Counter Surge? Wait, are we also including Witch Killer and stuff? Probably not, right? I feel like Witch Killer would have already come in if it was one.
Next
Just
up
saying.
is Wave Shield, which is basically the same as a Wave Immunity, but
No, except it's basically the same as wave immunity, but 10 times better because it completely prevents your team from being worried about waves.
for your entire team, if they are behind the cat that shields the wave. Pretty self-explanatory. Moving on
Self-explanatory, as he says as he puts it right in the middle of the rankings. What?
to resistance.
Counter Surge is good, I think. Better than resist.
Being resistant to something means that the cat will only take 1/5 of the damage that it would regularly do if you have the treasures. It's most effective on tanks and making a tank essentially.
But then there's also backliners like Heavy Jack. That's not even a tank that benefits greatly from the resist. So like it's not even just tanks that benefit from it, you know?
5 times more durable, which is very good. Now we actually have Curse. When I first did,
I know I say Curse is really good, but it is not better than Resist. Can I just say that right now? Like, I like Curse, right? I really like Curse. I think it actually fits here, or honestly even higher, because it can completely negate certain threats in the game. But why is it above Resist? Why is Resist so low? Okay, I actually think Curse can be better than Weaken. Niche-wise, but generally-wise, I do agree with you. I still don't get why Weaken is so good. Where's Knockback? Wait, where the fuck is Knockback? What?
I did not expect Curse to be so high, but being able to disable any.
Honestly, Knockback's the status that I would say is worse than Curse. But where is it?
Enemy ability is, in my opinion, better than being immune. Because if you're immune, you only protect yourself compared to Curse, who protects your entire team.
Yeah, so wave blocker argument. Wait, where is Curse immune? Has he already done Curse immune? Wait, has he not done Curse immune yet? Holy shit, bro.
Although it's only helpful against enemies that actually have abilities. Mini Wave, they hit their original attack dealing damage, and 20% of that damage goes with the wave in an extended range, so you can deal a bunch of damage in the front while stealing a bit.
I don't know what you mean by a bunch of damage. You're assuming stats here. Like, brother, what? I do think Mini Wave is really good though. I just don't see how Omni Strike is so low, but Mini Wave is this high. But whatever.
Bit of damage to the backline. It's also good at clearing peons. I don't know, I think
Eh.
Miniwave is great.
Mini Wave is mainly good on status. If you're going to argue for something, at least argue the right thing, right? Like, where's the mention about status? Carrying status through Mini Wave is one of the best things Mini Wave is for.
Then comes the Mini Surge. They're kinda similar.
I honestly like Mini Wave more than Mini Surge. Am I crazy for that? Because Mini Surge isn't that great, in my opinion.
I do prefer this one though. It's a bit more random though. Insanely tough, same as Resistance, but better. Next up is Explosion.
I don't know what statuses we haven't talked about, but how is Insane Resist all the way in the top 20?
It's a very powerful ability. It's
How is it not
somewhat
higher?
a combination of wave and surge attacks, but also
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking. What the hell? Okay, wait, we haven't talked about Knockback. We haven't talked about Curse Immunity. We haven't talked about what else haven't we talked about? We haven't even talked about Strong Against yet. We haven't talked about Crit yet. We haven't talked. Wait, how the fuck is Savage Blow so low but Crit is so high? Interesting.
not really. In very few cases, it can actually ruin for you with
On
timing.
Max Wall and Into the Future 3, do you see the Ubers they have, bro? It's like I don't think they require Max Wallet at this point.
Stuff, because it can double knockback, but I would say overall it's a very good ability. Long range or long distance.
Sick, bro. An Omni Strike, but if it had a blind spot. Ugh. Jesus Christ.
This one is very weird, not only that it's called long distance, even though it says long range, but also it doesn't technically mean that a cat will have long range. Air has shorter range than Cosmo, even though Air has the ability and Cosmo...
Where's Cosmo's Ultra Form at? Cosmo's Ultra Form should have been used to compare long distance to Omni. Oh my lord.
don't?
Oh wait. Sage Slayer and Colossus Slayer. What the fuck?
But the most cats with this ability
Wait. No, I actually like long range being this low. Wait, are you saying you want long range to be higher? No, if we're separating abilities from the units, if you're separating the units from the abilities, right? LD doesn't have to be good. Look at Golfer. Like, it doesn't have to be good. Omni Strike is never bad. Meanwhile, LD can definitely be bad. Except Omni can essentially do the same thing, but without the blind spot. If you think about it, in that way, right? Because, like, remember, for me, I don't know necessarily about him, but for me, I'm separating the ability from the units because it heavily depends on the unit and its stats. On paper, on base value, Omni is better than long range, in my opinion.
Do have long range, so that's why it's so high, because having long range is great. Long range pretty much carries you through the early and...
That's only because of the pierce it gives. It gives you the same thing as Wave, a good Omni, Explosion. Like, the only reason why long range carries you in the early game is because of the pierce it gives. LD is just the earliest form of pierce that you can easily get. He does have a description explanation. No, I looked at it. Want to know what his description says? It says each ability is ranked separately, and Uber, Super Rare, or Legend Rare usually have more than one ability, and that's why Ubers can still be good even if it has a bad ability. Which essentially says, yeah, he's separating the stats from the units. But that statement isn't supporting what I believe the ranking should be, right?
Is still helpful in the late game. Moving on to strong against gives you both
I
more
don't get how strong against came so high, right? Because all it does is double your HP and give you 50% more damage. Resist gives you 5 times more the HP. How is strong greater than resist? That's my concern. Because I get it, like, you get a mix of both, right? You get a mix of both, hey, more damage, and also, hey, more HP. But it's not better than resist, in my opinion. Right? And, like, not just that, but it's also this much higher than resist. And remember, knockback and curse immunity have still yet to be brought in. Remember, curse immunity hasn't been mentioned yet.
resistance and more damage.
Yeah, exactly, Jaden. You kind of want one or the other, which means that resist would be far better. Insane resist is still lower on the tier list, or on the ranking than strong. He already did insane resist before this, like way before this.
It's simple,
which is
effective.
7 times more HP.
Wave attacks, it hurts.
I'm sorry. How are they only? Wait, I so badly want to know what everything above this is, because how is wave only 14?
Me to put wave attacks this low. I know it's not technically low, but I wanna put it higher. It is damage, it's range, it carries other abilities along with it, it's cool, and it's satisfying. Using wave attacks are so fun, and even facing wave attacks are fun.
Wanna know what's not cool and what's really lame? Curse immunity. It does like barely anything.
A lot of memorable stages includes wave attacks, although it's technically not the best ability in the game, but
So he brings up the carrying.
it low-key is.
Oh wait, counter surge is... Where is counter surge? Yeah, by the way, he did mention the carrying for wave attacks, but not the mini wave. That is funny.
Then we have Barrier Breaker.
Mini surge is already gone.
The only reason Barrier Breaker is above wave attacks is because to complete the game, you actually are required to use Barrier Breaker.
Breaker Blast. Need I say more? Need I say more? Breaker Blast. Doesn't technically have Barrier Breaker, I don't think. Does it? I don't know. But it's not a stat you see in the game. But what I do want to say is that if Barrier Breaker didn't exist, then barriers wouldn't exist. So therefore, that's a stupid argument, right? Because if Barrier Breaker didn't exist, then even if barriers did still exist and Barrier Breaker didn't exist, then Ultra Bot would have a breakable shield. If anything, Barrier Breaker has made the game harder because it requires you to have a certain ability. So if anything, it makes the game harder because you can't just brute force it all. Where the fuck is shield piercing, by the way? Does Conjure count? I wonder if he did Conjure.
It might be the only ability you physically need to complete the game. No, I think there might be one more that we'll go through soon. By the way, this ability is also good in stages where you don't actually have to use it. Shield Pierce, the exact same but to Aku shields, which
yeah, but you don't need it,
in my opinion.
You don't need, like, you never need it. You can brute force it. Glad to see you. Thanks. You're not seeing me. You don't know what I look like. But, like, with Shield Pierce, right? You can brute force Akus. Like, yes, it's really nice against Akus, and I understand it being high, but this high, like, I can't. Explosion and Wave are lower than Shield Pierce. Notice how his argument for Zombie Kill earlier was that it's only effective against one trait. Meanwhile, like, what? Barrier Breaker and Shield Pierce are this high up? Your eyes are black? No, they are not. But, like, notice how it's, like, contradictory, right? Where, like, Shield Pierce only for Aku. Barrier Breaker only for Alien. Zombie Killer only for zombies. All three of those have that same thing in common, where they all three only affect one trait. And Barrier Breaker only affects one sub-trait because of Starred Aliens being a sub-trait of Aliens. So why is Zombie Killer so low while these two are so high? You could have met in the middle, right? But instead you put them so drastically far apart that it makes no sense.
And now we have critical hits.
By the way, I'm like a blue eyes white dragon. I got blue eyes, white, everything else.
The other ability you
Except for
actually are
hair.
required to have to complete the game.
Technically, Metal Killer would be required if not for crit. I just want to say that. And technically, kind of my same argument for Barrier Breaker. If crit didn't exist, then metals probably wouldn't exist either, or they would be much more handleable. Because they would be balanced around not having crit in the game. So, why is it so high? Like, I understand it being good, right? I understand it being high, but higher than wave, higher than explosion, higher than insane resist. How? Also, crit just doubles your damage. That's assuming it's 100% guaranteed, which it is almost never. Even separating crit from stats, the best thing you can do for it is say that it's 50% chance, which effectively only increases your damage by 50%, which means that the strengthen would be even at 50% would be assumed to be as good, or just about as good, just requiring a little bit of survivability changes, right? But since the average strength is at 100%, then that means it would be better, right? And then, but that's also to say that crit is never going to be guaranteed if you're actually a good damager. So like they did insane resist already way back.
But now that they added Metal Killer, you maybe could use that instead. I'm not sure how that
You can
would
also just brute
work.
force.
But 90% of the time, this will be superior over Metal Killer, and
Who is drinking
90% of the
this?
time,
Sorry, I keep talking over him, but I think we get the picture. SylvanasHusband. Remember, give him credit. Like, he made this video. It's still like a good video. He gave me permission to kind of do this kind of thing. He saw what I did whenever I first reacted to his Uber tier list, and he thought it was funny. They thought it was funny. I don't know their pronouns. So you know, I'm doing this because I love them. You know, because I love it. I love that they're doing this. I have permission.
this will be the only one you have, so... I think almost every one of you know this, but critical hits are used to deal damage to metal enemies.
What a fucking cannon, by the way. Just look at
Every one of
this.
you know this, but critical hits are used to deal damage
Making his paladin miss. W.
to metal enemies. Conjure, I don't have a lot of experience.
How is Conjure so high? Because, like, think about it. Conjure stops you from stacking a unit. And it also is only able to be used once per lifespan. And it also, like, it's good, don't get me wrong. But the fact that it can freeze, slow, knockback, or weaken, assuming that even if 50% of the time it was weakening or knocking back, it should be way lower, considering that is a once per lifespan. If it's knockback Conjure, it saves your own. No, it doesn't. Since when do you get saved by a Conjure? Conjure's like a nice bonus, in my opinion. I've almost never been saved by a Conjure.
With Conjure, I've heard that it's great and it seems pretty good, but I've also heard there are quite a bit of flaws with it. You can only have one
Like the fact that you can only use it once per lifespan, so you have to either be sparing or you have to waste your unit.
Conjure cat at a time, and it's another thing that you have to keep in mind and keep pressing at.
It's like a Breaker Blast, right? Like, even if it is knockback, it's like a Breaker Blast, except kind of worse because it's harder to time, because it does have a force swing.
As I said, I'm not very familiar with Conjure, so this one I'm not sure about at all.
I think it should be lower, but whatever.
But comment down below what you think
It's
about
still
Conjure. Good. Massive damage.
Okay.
Insane damage.
Okay. I mean, I see it, but what's above?
Colossus Slayer, it's...
How in the hell? Where's Curse Immunity? Where's Counter Surge? Remember, this is a new video. Unless they just didn't include everything, we just haven't seen those yet. Curse Immunity, Counter Surge, and Knockback. We haven't seen any of those three yet. Bitch, where? And then also, Sage Slayer is still unused. Just want to mention that.
It's similar to
I did
Strong
not mean to
Against,
exit
but
full
I think
screen.
you can stack Strong Against with this
It can
one.
stack, but Colossal are a very small minority of the game.
Colossal enemies and Behemoth and Sage, they're very hard, I would say, so having this one and the
I understand Behemoth Slayer being so high because it is actually busted. But why is Colossus Slayer this high?
following Behemoth Slayer and Sage Slayer are crucial.
Did you put Sage Slayer above Behemoth Slayer? I mean, I guess I get it, right? I do get it for later on in the game. I do get it for later on in the game. But not for right now. Because as of right now, there's not enough Sages in the game for it to matter. So, like...
Then just short for top 3 is slow, making it so your enemies stand...
Okay, so YouTube. I'm going to go ahead and yap a little bit because Twitch is going through ads and I want them to see everything because we're getting to probably one of the most controversial parts of it. Now, slow being this high is not at all controversial, but something tells me 1, 2, and 3 are very controversial. So, yes, Kava, that's what I was about to talk about. So the ones we haven't talked about yet are slow. We haven't talked about knockback, curse immunity, or what's the other one? Counter surge. We haven't talked about those 3. Is there anything else we haven't talked about? Because maybe SylvanasHusband just forgot a couple. But I'm racking my brain a lot, and I can't think of any other than those 3 that we haven't talked about. Is there anything we haven't talked about other than curse immunity, knockback, and fuck, what was it? Freeze, right? Single and area attack, he's not including those. He's not including single and area attack. He said that at the beginning of the video. So, what vid is this again? Ranking every ability from worst to best. I'm back. Okay, are we all back from ads? I'm assuming so. Let's see what his top 3 are.
And still is very effective. Mitama, one of the best cats, and I think she might even have been the best when she was released.
She was the best for a lot longer after she was released. Like, up until Dazzly, Mitama was probably the best Uber in the game.
Her main thing is slowing enemies at good range. At 3rd place we have Knockback, and I think...
Don't you dare say it's self-explanatory.
...that no one will agree with me here.
Okay, so he's at least self-aware. Did they make Wave Immune? Yeah, long ago.
But that's okay. I just feel like knocking things back can sometimes be better, and constantly knocking something...
Okay, it depends on the stage, right? Knockback is very good, but since enemies already have a natural knockback, plus you have Breaker Blast, because, like, assuming that the cat cannons, like, you can do those with or without the ability existing, or, like, separately from the ability in the ranking, right? Assuming that those are separate, assuming that the cannons are their own thing and not really being considered as part of these, like, abilities, I think that you can live extremely well without knockback, especially since even without Breaker Blast, and the normal cat cannon does do a pushback. So, like, you know?
Back is kinda similar to slowing them, cause
No, not at all, because slowing is much better for crowd control. Knockback is good and all, but it's not that good. Like, it's way worse because, like, they can still move quickly, and knockback, unless it's guaranteed or the most consistent thing in the world, you're not actually going to get a good enough knockback to even get it close to comparing to slow.
They can't really move forwards when they're being...
And also, right, like you said, insane damage is lower than this. Like, what's better than knocking back? Just killing them immediately.
...being pushed back. And a very important detail is that
combine them with slow
knockbacks
and
can actually
knockback.
cancel...
Slow and knockback, right? Slow and knockback. if you're talking about them one-on-one, which one would you rather have, slow or knockback? Slow or knockback? This ranking isn't talking about what their best potential is combined with others. You're separating them from everything else. So would you rather slow or knockback? There's your answer.
Cancel an attack, which can be extremely effective.
Can. But you can also kill them.
And at second place, which one do we have? Is it freeze or is it surge attacks?
Wait, did he do curse immune? Did he do curse immune? Because yeah, we never talked about surge. Counter surge and curse immune. I don't think curse immune was anywhere in here, right? I don't think we ever talked about it. I mean, I know my memory's not that great, but you guys agree with me, right? He never talked about curse immune. So he straight up did forget. No hate there. But I do want to know where... Wait, do the comments say anything? Hold up. Double bounty, weekend, Omni strike, wave, at long distance. Nobody's saying anything about it. I'm sorry? Okay. I missed immune to curse, sorry. But what about counter surge? Because you missed both of them. Like, I completely understand forgetting some, right? Like, I do completely understand it. I would absolutely do the same thing. But I am curious, what happened to... Like, did you also forget counter surge?
It is surge attacks. I think most people would have their surge attack in their top 3 or 5.
Yeah, absolutely.
Surge attacks are wave attacks, but way more effective. The only thing that it doesn't have is the nostalgia and the feeling of a wave attack.
Here's the thing, though. Wave gives better pierce, because, like, surge doesn't really... Like, depending on the surge, it doesn't give a lot of pierce. So, it's... in my opinion, worse at carrying out status on something that doesn't have a lot of range, right? Because, like, the reason why Dazzly's surge is so good is because she already has a lot of range, she already has a lot of LD, she already has a lot of pierce, right? And so the surge just enhances on her damage. Surge offensively is way better than wave. However, assuming that we're separating the status from the unit, wave would be better for status alone. And even for damage would be comparable because surge most of the time is only level 1 anyways, but on the off chance that it is a higher level, it would give more damage. But then balancing things happen and da-da-da-da-da. Number 0 counter surge, fair, true.
But I can't deny that it's more effective than a wave attack. And at the first place we have freeze.
Now this one
Freeze
I actually completely understand. Sorry, I keep talking over you because I tried to pause, I swear. But freeze I actually understand being a number 1 because I mean if you separate it from the units and don't count, you know, if you don't count balancing things, you can just absolutely permafreeze and completely turn anything into a non-threat. Like, by the way, speaking of immune to curse and freeze, Gigavolta has a talent that makes him immune to curse. Immune to curse would have definitely been number 1. Smile.
everything right. It's easy to get even in the early game. It stops attacks, it stops movement, it stops difficulty, and it pretty much replaces slow and knockback.
Yeah, because like I said, assuming we're separating balancing factors and units away from the ability on its own, on paper freeze I think can be considered the
That's
best.
the list, and if you disagree, I'm telling you, don't be disrespectful. I have opinions just like you, and none of us deserves disrespect. Anyway,
True.
don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.
Absolutely. Subscribe to this man. He makes higher quality videos than me. Way higher quality videos. Spends way more time on them than I do. And like something I will say, right, is that like I hope I haven't been disrespecting SylvanasHusband because I've been kind of shitting on his opinion and stuff. And this reaction took way longer than I wanted it to. It's taken me oh my god, it's been an hour. I spent an hour talking about a 15-minute video. Chat. I wanted this reaction to last 30 minutes. It took me twice as long, even though I was being generous with my. Oh my lord. I appreciate you watching my video. You might not if you rewatch through the entire thing. I kind of shat on you quite a lot, but hopefully it was funny. No, no, I didn't mean any disrespect, but obviously exaggeration, since I'm making content, kind of can mix things up. Skill issue? Oh my god, bro. I'll have to wake up early tomorrow. Dark Heroes? Yeah, oh my god. YouTube, god damn, I hope you enjoyed this. Peace.